simple as saver, bank, borrower. Now, on the right-hand side, I've simplified it for today's discussion, but I own a couple of companies, and I can lend, just like it says over here, I can lend money out to pretty much anybody I want, as long as I have evaluated beforehand that they're actually gonna pay me back. I may or may not take collateral, depending on how we're structuring it. We spend some time teaching our clients the difference between gifting and lending. If you're lending to that child who's not gonna pay you back, that's not lending, that's gifting. And you may wanna think twice. So this little girl in the middle who just got married about 1.5 years ago, we gave her first car when she was about 17 or 18, and then she wrecked it, like most kids do. She was involved in a 5-mile-an-hour bumper fender bender, and the airbag deployed, and that means the car is wrecked. Right? So we financed her second car, and I went real easy on her. I let her pick her payment, right? And I threatened her life. And I said, you will make your payment. You won't make it to me because I don't handle money. You get it to my office manager every single month on time, or you will pay a penalty. I don't know how many of you have the guts to do that with your kids. I don't know what I would have done if she was late, to tell you the truth. But she was faithful in making her payments right up until the time she got married, and I took back the note and I handed her the title. And I made it a gift, and with all due respect to the blondes in the room, she opened up her wedding card and the title fell out, and she said, I have no idea what that is. And I said, it's a title to your car, you don't have to make any more payments. Now, we have lots and lots of stories of people who have learned how to use, I'm glad you enjoyed that, who have learned how to use their banking system. There's a little pest control company here in town with these little white trucks with red and blue lettering. And the owner of that company has been in this town for 50 years. His company has, anyway. And he and I were having lunch one day, and he told me after our lunch was over, he was heading over to Black Mountain Bank, and he was gonna go take a loan because he needed to buy 12 new trucks. They're just little Ford Rangers, I think they are. Little pest control trucks, maybe about $12,000 each at the time. And I said, you know, you've got this life insurance policy. And I've been trying to teach him this, and he's not necessarily teachable, but he understood this part. I said, why don't you just take the money out of your policy, buy the trucks, and have your company pay you back? And that's just gonna add more interest and more money to your retirement nest egg. He's about 75 years old now. Now, a couple of years after that, he called me up and he said, you know, because of the recession and so forth, a lot of people don't want to pay $30, $40 a month to have the bugs sprayed in their house. So we're having kind of a shrinkage in our business. And I'm wondering if we could renegotiate our car payment, our truck payment. And so I asked him, who owns the bank? And I could just see him smiling through the telephone. He said, I do. I said, so do you think you could adjust your truck payment? He said, yeah, what I'd really like to do is go to interest only for about 6 months. I said, it's your bank. I said, by the way, because I had to get my infomercial in, I said, what would Black Mountain Bank have said if you would call them up and said, I'd like to renegotiate my truck payment because business is getting weak or soft? They'd say, no problem, just drop off the trucks, leave the keys, right? I mean, this is practical. 6 years ago, I went through prostate cancer, went through radiation and so forth, and it was kind of an emotional time. And it was probably more of an issue up here than it was in my body. But during that period of time, we had some issues with making our payments. Well, I've had these policies for a long time, some of them. And so my policies were able to accommodate not only me skipping loan repayments, but they sustained our lifestyle for whatever the period of time was. It was months, 6 months or longer. It wasn't a great year financially for us, 2009, but, by the grace of God, we had a family bank, and we didn't have to call up the outside banker and make excuses for not making payments. I just didn't have to make them. We've got story after story. We have wealthy clients, and we have clients who are heading towards being wealthy. And they're studying this because they want to know how they can secure not only the money, but also create the system that they can teach their kids. Every single child wants to go into a different career, don't they? But every single child wants to inherit. Remember that? They all want to inherit. And they should take the responsibility for getting the learning under their belt so that years down the road, they'll have it just like it's second nature. They'll be able to understand money. They need to know this. Otherwise, they kind of disqualify themselves from that inheritance, or maybe they disqualify themselves from the same level of inheritance that the other kids might get if they were to absorb the learning. The applications are literally limitless. We have clients who have called up and said, I'm just tired of, excuse the expression, undressing financially to my bank every year to keep my line of credit open. How do I do this so that I don't have to worry about qualifying for line of credit? What about the fact that interest rates might go up in the future? Would having a guaranteed interest rate loan source be useful to you? What if you had a guaranteed loan source at 5%? And we already showed you that if you're paying yourself back, you're getting all the money back anyway. And on top of that, you've got a guaranteed interest rate, where the people out there are having to deal with whatever the market will bear. Estate applications, business applications. What if I want to take a flyer and I want to put, we've had clients do this because they don't necessarily get the picture. You're not going to get the big picture today. Okay, we're just giving you kind of a treetop treatment and we're just about done. I really encourage you to read the book. What if a client wants to take $100,000 and put it in the stock market? What we say is, take a loan from your family bank, make your payments back to your family bank, just like you would a modest-sized mortgage. Now, over time, you're going to pay your family bank back for that investment. Now you've got all your principal returned to your family bank. Now you have 100% in the market, and you don't really have to care what that investment does. If it hits a home run, you've got more money. If you lose all of it, you have all your principal repaid to your family bank. I hate to be immodest about this, but there isn't a situation that we've come across that we can't help and we can't improve by adding the banking function to it. It's not an investment. It's adding the banking function. It's recapturing the banking function back in your life, because what you'll see when you start to think about it is it's the banking function that creates the most money. It's not the washing machine, the pair of blue jeans that you buy at Sears. It's that little credit card that makes Sears profitable. It's not the 0% or the 4% or the lease rate that makes Ford or GM profitable. It's their financing, it's their aftermarket, it's their warranty, it's their add-ons. And it's not the price of the house that costs you so much, it's the interest. Even if you stayed in the house for 30 years, between the interest that you pay and the interest that you give up, you're losing, again, magic number, 500% of the original purchase price. And everything that we said here today, we can demonstrate. We could have a class that uses nothing but calculators if you really want to bore yourself silly and go through, and we do the math. I mean, we're not afraid to do the math. We have a math genius here, and we have other CPAs. We have CPAs who come in and they want to see the math, and we'll prove it to them. Now again, we have other financial advisors or professional advisors who don't want to hear it. I've literally heard clients tell me, my accountant won't allow me to do this. And I ask, One question, have you and your accountant done the math? And I've never had an accountant tell me I've done the math and I disagree with it. Because we've done the math. We know it's scientifically provable and demonstrable and safe. Last questions. We've kept you a good long time and I appreciate your being here.
How many policies are you allowed to have with the life insurance?
You can have as many policies as you qualify for. There's a trick question, right? So we're working with an 82-year-old right now who's applying for life insurance, and he's having to go through a few extra hoops, as you can imagine, because he hasn't taken a physical in 25 years. And he plays in the senior tennis league, travels all over the country, probably healthier than you and me put together.
Right.
And so he's going to put in a pretty large amount of money based on his understanding of the 770 account that a lot of people are talking about. 770 is a salesman's way to avoid saying life insurance. Now, these life insurance policies are designed a certain way. It's another conversation. There is a legal way for us to reduce fees and increase your access to cash, which Anthony showed you, where we were showing the CD column and life insurance column. Even in year number 1, you had access to cash, about 60% of what you put in. Over time, you had more money in the life insurance than you had the CD after about 7 years. And so the trick question is, clients have asked me, well, what are the costs of that life insurance policy? Well, wait a minute. If you got $100,000 in your CD and you have $200,000 in your life insurance policy, what were your costs? You've got to think about that. You netted out, the costs were negative, right?
And
Can I-
no limit
can I-
you can put in there, right?
Sorry?
No limit you can put in?
There's absolute limits. You could only put as much money in as you can qualify for. You qualify medically, you gotta pass a physical, right? I have lots of clients that can't pass a physical, and they put the policy on their spouse, they put the policy on their kids, on their business partners, on their nieces, their nephews, their parents. Whoever you can have a legally insurable interest in their life, you can buy a policy. And then secondly, you're limited by your finances. So my 82-year-old is worth about $10 million. That's his net worth. He can buy $10 million worth of life insurance. You can double your net worth in one day.
Perfect.
So the parameters are extremely liberal. You'd be surprised at how much money you can get in a life insurance policy.
And if you buy a policy on your children or grandchildren, you can own that policy, right? You can control that bank.
Yeah, we're kind of into control. This is a great book I recommend to everybody. It's called The Law. In 1850, Frederick Bastiat, thank you for your participation. Frederick Bastiat was a French economist, and he wrote about the government taking assets away from people and redistributing it to those who were in need.
I've heard that.
And he called this legal plunder. And he wrote it in French. It was translated to English. This was in 1850, the year he died. So 165 years ago, they were talking about the government taking from certain people and redistributing it. There's nothing new under the sun. It's a great, great book. And you had somebody else who participated. Who was that?
Maureen,
Brett's gonna buy a diamond ring. I think we should at least.
I think, you need to learn about that. And the people who were bold enough to sit in the front row.
If I wanna do this insurance thing for friends, family, strangers, tax liabilities, are there any? And I just walk up and say, look, I wanna set this person up for this much, how do I?
Another class. Another class. Let me give you kind of the long and short. And we'll just talk about this generically, okay? So a life insurance policy includes a couple of different things, a couple of different components. One includes dividends, okay? Dividends are not taxable. And I'll put the asterisk out here in the air. as long as you treat them properly. Dividends are not taxable. Loans are never taxable, right? When you go to the bank and take a loan, that's not taxable. The death benefit is not taxable.
Yeah.
And as I said, you could take anything and mess it up, right? So everything that you do, you have to treat it properly. So life insurance death benefit is not subject to income tax. It could be, only could be subjected to federal estate taxes, death tax, if you're worth above $10.6 million, husband and wife, and you do not do any planning whatsoever. And what we say is you always have a choice, right? You can leave your money to family, to charities, or to the government. Pick two. And so we work with our clients to design programs so that if you had a choice and this amount of money was gonna go to the government and you could just, with a proper design, move that over to a charity, would you or wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Right? And we work with some pretty bright, I don't know if I could say dedicated, professional, ethical lawyers. I don't know if that sentence is an oxymoron, right? No, we actually do have some good lawyers who have character, and we work with clients to create zero tax planning. So we do work with the tax aspects of everything that we do.
Okay.
So these
What?
are actually tax attorneys that you work with? Do you-
Yeah, yeah. And the first thing that we have to do is we have to teach them about finance.
Yeah.
Okay?
Wow.
Because when people come in here with advanced degrees, the first thing that we say is, we have to teach around that. Right? Oh, you're an MBA? Okay, we'll talk slower.
I still have trouble believing there's no cost, and here's where I'm going, is if you're taking money away from that insurance company, let's say, $50,000.
Sure,
And then you're going out and spending it, and then you're paying it back in dribs and drabs.
sure.
That 50 grand is money they would have taken and invested, and so you're sort of taking money away from them. And so is there a time limit or a dollar limit or anything to where all of a sudden it does cost you money?
Short answer, no.
Okay.
You're familiar with an interest-only loan,
Okay.
HELOC on your house, home equity line of credit? That's an interest-only loan, right? When you take a life insurance policy loan, remember the 4% CD? That is the equivalent of a life insurance policy, because life insurance policy has a guaranteed interest rate of 4%. That's pretty cool all by itself, right? Now, let's make that tax-free. It's almost the same as a 6% taxable investment, isn't it?
Right.
Okay, now, when we borrow, where's my red?
Oh, remember, that's a,
When we borrow, they're paying us 4%, and we're paying them, I'm gonna say 5%. Now, I already proved earlier that we can earn at 4 and borrow at 6 and make money.
Right.
So if we're earning at 4 and paying at 5, we're making more money, right? Insurance companies take in hundreds of millions of dollars and usually billions of dollars in premiums and investment money every year. Now, you know that we're in a low interest rate environment.
Right.
So insurance companies have to go out in the market and look for conservative investments where they can place money,
Right.
right? Anybody here ever buy a 30-year bond? Right. Insurance companies own the 30-year bond market. Okay, so this year they're they're putting $50 million into a 30-year bond. The next year, they're putting another $50 million into another 30-year bond.
Wow.
That 30-year bond might be paying 4 or 5 or 6 or 7,
Right.
right? But they have to lock up money for the future.
Right.
Keyword there is lock up. They have to invest money for the future because they have to fulfill promises out into decades and centuries. Now, I asked this of the chief investment officer of our primary company, a company we have a very high level of trust with. And I call him the guy with the $33 billion in his checking account. And I asked him, how do you feel about a 5% investment, which is what that is, right? If I'm lending you money and you're paying me 5%, I just made an investment.
Right.
How do you feel about a 5% investment where you have 100% collateral backing up the loan?
Wow.
And that 100% collateral is cash. So the 4% CD and the 6% car loan, 6% car loan was collateralized by the 4% CD. So if you didn't make your car payment, the bank holds your CD and they have a lien against the CD.
Right.
Well, if I don't pay my life insurance policy loan back, they can take that away from my policy. So let me just throw some round numbers on here. I've got $1 million life insurance policy, right?
Okay, okay.
And I've got a $50,000 policy loan, and I die.
And you, that's right, if you don't pay.
They give
that-
my wife a check for $950,
Exactly.
and we part friends,
Exactly.
right? The insurance company's happy
Right.
because they balance their books. My wife is gonna make believe she's sad.
For a minute.
But for all intents and purposes, this is an interest-only loan forever. They never call the loan. I control the loan. I can pay the interest. In my case, I'm deducting that interest, by the way, another discussion. I'm deducting it because I'm investing it in my business and in business entities, right? So it's not even costing me 5. It's costing me 3, and I'm getting all the money back, aren't I?
Okay, okay.
This is why I keep on buying it. The more I talk about it, the more I buy.
They're closed today. Question, Joe.
Yeah.
What if somebody, because we've talked about payments, everybody relates to having life insurance and having payments monthly, whatever. What if somebody had a windfall and they want to fund the policy?
Sure. So we have clients who put in lump sums of money up front, and they may never make another payment. There's the simplest scenario, but that scenario may involve some income tax. We want to avoid that at all costs. We might take a policy, and it doesn't make a difference what the premium is. Let's say it's $10,000, and somebody says, well, I have $100,000, I want to pay the next 10 years premiums on my life insurance. Can we do that? Sure. So I want to put down a client, a young lady here who's a retired WNBA player. She wants to put in $10,000 lump sum and put in $500 a month. Can we design that? Sure.
So,
We have clients who bring in inheritances, and they may need some of that money for a living going forward. We'll put some into a managed account or a money market account or account that they have access to. We'll put some in life insurance. We'll use it for funding their cars and their lifestyle. There's pretty much an unlimited amount of scenarios that you can throw at us, and we'll help design a program to accommodate that. Yes, sir.
Off the top of your head, here's $40 million. I'm gonna hand it to you right now.
Mm-hmm.
Worst case, best case, what can I earn annually? From $10,000 a year to $10 million a year.
You know, a round number, I'd say just figure on 5%.
Okay.
We're working with an Indian tribe whose number is a lot bigger than that. And the first thing that we have to do is, of course, they own gambling.
Right, right.
Really?
American, Native Americans.
Marijuana.
And so the first thing that we do is we have to start with design, right? So somebody comes in with $40 million, they're gonna be sitting in our conference room for a long, long time, because I'm gonna be asking questions for hours.
You can do it on the
Because
phone,
I-
right?
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, I'll almost do it on the phone, yeah. So I wanna know what their kids are doing, what schools they're sending them to, who is gonna be part of their estate, who their beneficiaries are, who their trustees are. We're asking all the questions that the lawyers are gonna ask, because, by the way, the lawyer is sitting in the room.
Right.
Because we pretty much direct that team, We're proactive, right? Most lawyers are not. They sit back and wait for the phone to ring. So we bring in the client's board on a regular basis, depending on the client's business and family makeup. And we ask our clients to allow us to assemble their board of directors periodically, once a year, once every 2 years, so that we're all on the same page, so that we're not contradicting each other.
I like that.
And it's been a very novel approach because most lawyers and accountants don't have time and don't want to go back and revisit. And they certainly don't want to sit in a room full of competitors.
Right.
But after all, my boss is the business owner or the client, and I want to make sure that we're doing what's right for that person for the next 50 years to start.
I like it.
So you asked me a loaded question.
Yes.
And so you asked me one, I have 15 more for you. But you understand.
But,
So we address it very, very comprehensively.
and you have other products. I mean, today we focused on this, which is the favorite one. But, you know, he has annuities. So certain annuities might fit as a mix.
Yeah, there's an
what I mean?
organizational chart in your folder that addresses
Yeah, well,
everything that we
I'm
do.
just saying.
So it's a comprehensive approach that we take. So we're licensed for everything that has to do with finances.
So you wanna remind them about the evaluation?
Evaluations, please. You're not allowed to leave unless you fill out the evaluation.
Are we gonna have books available up front, or?
We have books available right here
How much are they?
in paper and audio CD.
How much are they?
$20. Same as you would pay online.
Is that plus shipping?
Yes, yeah, $50 shipping, yeah. Any other questions before we break up? You've been very patient and you invested a lot of time today, and I appreciate your being here. And I hope that we helped you with some ideas and some motivation to start doing the reading.
$20.
You can get the book online.
Okay.
Any question?
Here, I'm gonna give you this because
Oh, I
this is
so
the
like
video
that.
that was playing up front. So 15 minutes to give you an overview. And you send them my copy. Let me see if I can find.
I have one, Joe. I don't have the fancy cover like you do.
Since we were
Yeah.
invited here by you,
Yes.
are we your clients?
Yes. I mean, I'm an associate and work with Joe.
How are you?
So you would be meeting with Joe, but I am a contact, and so we would be working together.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
So that you would be getting our information, right? Did you?
I will have it and Joe will have it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Joe's office as a team, as you can see, it's a,
Thank you.
you know, Joe's office as a team offers a lot of services
Right.
and of a lot of things as far as, you know, even helping with your loans, personal loans that you'll be taking out
Right.
and those kind of things.
But I just want to make sure that I know these things work kind of like a commission type deal.
Right.
I don't want to have it passed through.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't
It won't.
sure what I was holding.
Joe and I, you know, we're like family, right? So,
So what is all
you know, that's why I'm here with Joe.
And these are only the
And
banks that failed in this
I've been licensed in insurance for some years. So we've been working together for some time.
Oh,
No, the
Yeah.
reason they failed is because they violated their margin requirements with the Federal Reserve.
That's right.
So, for example, you heard of Silver State Bank?
Well, it doesn't come from you guys, by the way, right? Yeah.
8 years ago. And what happens, they were lending a lot of money on real estate, raw land. And then the market went down and their loan to value was all out of proportion. And so the feds come in and say, you've got a loan here, there's 150% loan to value. You're out of compliance with federal rules. So you've got to recapitalize. You've got to get more capital. So how could they capitalize? Why would someone invest in that bank if the bank doesn't have the assets? Right? And the other reason why the banks fail is because they make bad loans.
A lot of that was going
Right?
right.
So you'll read that in the book. I'm good. Yeah.
Debit machine, do you?
No, we don't. You can send us a check.
I already have 100. I know.
Let me go see it. If I don't, then you can bring it. All right.
I didn't know that.
I'm Anthony. Alan Russell. Good to count. All right. It's better late than never to come in.
No problem.
Hopefully you guys learned something. A little different, interesting. Yeah. What I highly recommend is by reading the book. It goes into detail about. Well, it goes into more detail. It goes more into detail about life insurance and how it works and why a policy is the best use for it. It also goes into some more examples. It actually talks about procrastination and some of like I have some problems with that too. But it talks about some of the human nature reasons on why this wouldn't work. The only reason it wouldn't work is going to be up to the person. The person isn't funding their policy, or they take money out and they're not paying interest. Doing that, it's not gonna. Yeah, if you can do that, then there's no reason why this wouldn't work.
You gotta see, even you can't find it.
Yeah, I'm curious, so I don't have to see when I'm doing my wallet.
So we do also have the book on audio, and as Joe had said, it's hard to see the charts on the audio.
Absolutely.
But you can also buy these books on Amazon. Doesn't need to be from us. You know, what we just found is that if we give out this book, nobody will read it. You know, but if they buy it and see it in the game, they're gonna read it. And so you can go down to Amazon and buy it. You can buy it on your Kindle as well. We just found it's just more convenient.
You don't even know where it went.
I buy you one.
Thank you, sir.
Would like to share my
Thank you.
I will do that. Then you can teach
I
me.
feel like a dealer.
Ellen.
I usually deal with the money.
So
I usually deal with the money.
Yes, I do. You guys want?
Alan, I got one too. We're all.
Hey, I'm right.
Yes, this is
Alan
fine.
Russell.
I've seen you somewhere before. Are you the post office from the one next to my picture? Moving down the west side, right? Oh, you're moving up? All right, good deal.
Cash or check or later? I mean,
Cash is always there.
Chuck, everybody you have is carrying 100. It's like guys that don't have them.
No. See, she's on schedule, that's the reason.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Can I get one more?
You can make it go
We don't know everybody.
Those are the guys. Oh. Which part?
Well, I just did the math the other day. Which doesn't make any sense to me, but this is what I came up with. Right? Hundreds, millions, trillions. And it said 22 cents. Okay, but they're turning off 6 zeros. Okay, so that's, right, that's 2,200,000,000 for 100 trillion.
Morgan.
Morgan.
I was the Bank of America when they bought me. And then I went to so they're a private and numerous times. A lot of those guys that I knew, because I was a sales manager, and used to be my team.
I know, it was mine, and that's why I did it.
So, stayed up as loyal, finally, man.
Right. Okay, so you're saying instead of taking the 6 off, you do that? Okay.
What part of it and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does. That's a good idea. Oh, yeah, I mean, if this is, even if it's not too, it's like, wow. So, yeah.
We're smart.
Well, I've heard that before.
Yeah, the builders will come back. I'll let you have one of them.
Just the Yankees.
Yeah, builders are back. Well, you know,
I still,
builders are back.
when the,
There you go.
I still
Still work, all these guys have to.
maybe has many, whoever else stands. Say, hey, would be willing to, let's talk. What are your ideas, all this kind of stuff, what people, you know, have you contacted what people you know, which way are you gonna go?
But anyway.